Sorry about that part there. Let me go back over here again and read this. And I want to make sure I get this right here. Chapter 8. Uh, Daniel chapter 8. In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westwards and northwards and southwards, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. And as I considering, behold, an eagle came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. In other words, he said, this goat came from the west, didn't touch the ground. That means he was flying. This was a fighting force, came out of the west. But if you notice, he spoke of the ram, he was pushing northwards, he was pushing southward, and he was pushing westward. He never pushed eastwards. He never did. So, as I was speaking of a minute ago, the horn is just like the symbol of the spots of a leopard. By the two horns being upon the same ram, and the short one came up first, and the long one came up last, there's no way that these could have came. The short horn one could have came up first before the long horn if they mounted on the same body, on the same goat. So therefore, this become a symbol of a fighting force. As the horn is what a ram and an ox fight with, this became a symbol of two fighting forces. The short horn came up first. Well, 9/11, September 11, 2001, they alleged that bin Laden had something to do with the knocking down of the Twin Tower Trade Center buildings. President George W. Bush demanded that Afghanistan turn bin Laden over to them. The president of Afghanistan refused to turn bin Laden over to the United States of America. Bin Laden fighting forces was the small fighting forces, so this would become the short horn, which came first, which was mentioned first because of the knocking down of the Twin Tower Trade Center buildings. By them going to the governmental body of Afghanistan, this means that this was a large military fighting force. This would be the Longhorn mounted upon the same body on the same territory where the Shorthorn came up first. So the ram would become Afghanistan, the trigger part of World War III. The trigger part of Ezekiel chapter 9, what I recorded before the blowing of the space shuttle, where God said, call every man in his destroying weapon. I said what he did, he had the Trade Center building knocked down. This is in Ezekiel chapter 9. This is Ezekiel chapter 9 being explained what happened, transpired in Daniel chapter 8. Well, after they didn't turn bin Laden over to the United States as requested by President George W. Bush. The long-range B-52 bombers is the he-goat having the nose between the horns. I, because this is where his antenna is, where he had the communications. That's the nose of it. They came with no feet touching ground, flying out of St. Louis. Long-range B-52 brown bomber. They went over there and they pounded Afghanistan. This is what God was talking about to us in Bible prophecy, where the horns, the short horn and the long horn, they beat down that nation, the forces of these, until I saw body parts mingled in the earth. He said, stamped up on him, and he there was nobody to deliver them out of his hand. This is the prophecy being fulfilled. This is where we are today in Bible prophecy. He said, and the goat grew strong. He carried you virgin and virgin, telling you so many ways how this Bible fulfills itself. But he's talking about the same thing in the same nation. The United States became great because this was the trigger part of World War III. The knocking down of the Twin Tower Trade Center building. And I saw the ram, and as I was considering the horn, behold, a he-goat. The he-goat was the United States of America, came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes, verse 5, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and the ram ran unto him with a fury and of his power, and I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with challenge against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stomped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore, the he-goat, which was the military fighting force of the United States, waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of the earth. These are the four military fighting forces of the United States of America: Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine. When this he-goat came, that he had other United Nations working with him. But these here ones here came was his. Now, it's going to come back to the part where the little horn is going to take over. And out of one of them came forth a little horn. He's taking you back to the horn with the little eye. Came up out of the four-horn military fighting force of the United States of America, which waxed exceedingly great, which was the CIA, toward the south, and toward the east, and towards the west. This one also went towards the east and went towards the west. The CIA did this. They're telling you that in here. The little horn did have eyes. And toward the pleasant land, and it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stomped upon them. He went on back, and the military fighting force, which was the CIA, slaughtered God's people over there. Yet he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. In other words, I said I was living by the spirit of Moses, and it was I, John the Baptist, and Jesus Christ. I was slain for the daily sacrifice, which is being cast down. He took the daily sacrifice, meaning he made those people abandon the law of Moses and take on a law called democracy. He democratized them, made them curse God, as it was written in the book of Job 1 and Job 2, when Satan came into the kingdom of God and told him, give me charge over here, I will make him curse you to your face. And that was to take the daily sacrifice and the law that John the Baptist, myself, and Jesus Christ was slain for during the reign of the cross. I am a modern day prophet sent back by God to give warning to the world